Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sip and Spin. My name is Skylar, and over here in... Give me something. What's on your socks?
They're friends. I mean, I'm wearing earrings you got me.
Oh, yes, and wearing the earrings I got her. Your hair was covering them.
It is, yeah.
For her birthday is Brittany.
Hello. This is a variety podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing. And sometimes we put out episodes.
Occasionally.
We're not that great at it these days.
It's our bad.
Yeah, but we can do what we want.
Yeah, we're in charge here.
But how are you?
I'm okay.
I'm very interested.
So it's been a time. So today we were supposed to be doing history.
Uh-huh.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Like at all.
Okay.
Because I was originally going to do the history between Palestine and Israel, but then I kind of felt bad about doing that. Like, it's just like a topic for our podcast. Like, there was part of me that was like, even though it's important to talk about, there was like another part of me that's like turning it into like content for just like a topic on our podcast. I kind of felt bad about. Like, I felt like that wasn't the right choice in a way.
I gotcha.
So then I was like, well, I'm going to find my children's book that I wrote on the French Revolution, and I'm going to read that for my, segment. I couldn't find it.
Oh no.
So, and that was at like 3 p.m. and I spent an hour and a half looking for it. Like, I looked everywhere for this thing. Could not find it anywhere.
Oh, no.
So then I was like, okay, I'm going to scramble something together, like super last minute. And then I couldn't even think of a topic. And then it was like, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I was like, we're just not going to just like a little bit of history.
And even my history should be taken with a grain of salt.
Okay.
It might be fake.
Okay. We're doing so great here, y'all. But yeah, so it has been a day because all of that happened. I just essentially gave up on today altogether. So,
Fair.
I haven't washed my hair. It's whatever. I really don't care. It's fine. I haven't eaten today.
That's not so great.
And so that's why I felt like really shaky today. I was like, why am I shaking? And I was like, maybe it's because of the fact that the only thing I've put in my body today have been 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And then I hurt my ankle. So that was super fun. And that all happened just today. So I just kind of gave up on today and just played Coral Island. And because I was like, I need to feel better about my life. And then Coral Island broke on me. So then I played Stardew Valley because I needed to feel better after that.
Even Coral Island broke on you because it's like, this bitch needs to go eat some food. Ruin it.
And then I did not do that. I just went to Stardew Valley.
Great. Good.
Yeah.
Have you had water at least today?
No. The only thing I put in my body were 2 cups of coffee.
And now a glass of wine.
And now a glass of wine.
Great. Oh, goodness.
But how are you?
I'm okay. I'm just kind of blah, so that's why I don't know. It's been really gloomy these past few days.
It really has.
And it's just, and cold, which I like the cold, but I like it's not the right vibe of cold, if that makes sense. It's just been so blah out. I haven't really wanted to do anything. So I've just been, I got back into reading there for a little bit, so I read a book or 2. And then I've just been also playing games. But even then, I'm just like, I start a game, and then I'm like, I don't want to play this, and then I quit it, and then I just stare at my Steam library for an hour, and I'm like, okay. Yeah. I did start watching True Blood for the first time, which was fine.
I don't know what that is.
It's an HBO show. It was really popular. It's like a vampire show. It's like supposed to be like adult, sexier Vampire Diaries.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I guess it is, but I don't know. It takes place in Louisiana, so it's also like southern vampires and stuff like that, and witches and a bunch of weird shit. That's interesting. I'm on season 3.
Okay.
And
yeah, I've got 3 dramas I'm watching right now.
more Thai dramas.
All 3 dramas come out with new episodes every Friday.
That sounds stressful.
So just every Friday I spend like 3 hours watching one episode of each show.
That's not too bad.
No. One of them I like a lot because it's a spin-off show of another show that I really liked, and so it has the same characters from the other show, and I really did like those characters in that story, so I'm really enjoying that one. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite I'd watched. This one is so precious. It's so cute. I mean, I was like giggling at my screen. I was like, this is so cute. And then the other one is batshit insane.
Oh, good. I mean, like, that's like a good mix.
That's the one I told you about when I was just like casually started it thinking it was going to be a motorsports enemies to lovers, and then they threw what they threw in there, and I was like, excuse me? What?
Yeah, keep you on your toes.
I was taken aback. I was in shock. I was like, I couldn't believe it.
Good.
With no warning whatsoever. And I was like, oh, I guess we're in this universe now. I don't know why. I don't know that it benefits the story in any way.
Sometimes you don't need to know why.
Like, so far there have been 2 episodes, and maybe it'll come into play more later, but I'm just, if this wasn't in the show, like if it...
This was just, it was never like mentioned again, really.
Like, they just casually throw it in the background. They're like, oh, you know, he's... And I'm like... But it doesn't benefit the plot in any way. Like, it does not forward the plot at all.
I feel like you don't throw any... Oh, this reminds me, I read a wild book recently I might have to tell you about. Oh, it's the one I texted you about.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
But, like, so, like, I feel like in that sense of here, like, you don't just throw that out without it coming back to be in the plot later.
Because, like I said, maybe it will come back later, but as of right now, they just have it in there. And it's just like, oh, okay, sure.
Just a Hail Mary if they ever needed to just be like, hey, remember that? Let's use this.
I'm just like, it literally, like, if they didn't have it in there, I don't think it would change anything about the show. Like, that's how, and I'm like, it's just casually, like...
Yeah, I just did it to make sure you were paying attention.
You have this universe, and I'm like, why are we in this universe? What happened?
That is funny, actually.
But I'm just like, okay, I guess we're rolling with it now, because I really don't know. I'm just like, I guess we're just... Because I'm still going to stick with it, though, because I love enemies to lovers motorsports, and I will put up with anything for enemies to lovers motorsports.
I mean, now you kind of just have to know.
Yeah, I have to know if it...
comes up again.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, I don't read this in my casual time, or like, oh, I don't, like... kind of secretly love it, but also at the same time it's just so wild. Like, it just was so unexpected, and now it's doing nothing, and so I'm like,
that is funny and odd. Maybe they didn't even mean to. Maybe it was like a slip in the script and they just rolled with it. That'd be funny.
Because when I saw a clip of it, they had changed the translation, so I'm like, wait, so what is it? Because, like, in the show, it says what it says. But in the clip that I saw on it was either, like, YouTube Shorts or TikTok or something, they had changed the translation. I'm like, is it whoever posted the clip? Or is it, like, is there another translation?
What they change it to?
Because this is where I think it's not. I think the person who translated it just changed it because they didn't want to put it out there either. Because they changed it to gay instead of being like, oh, are you... Okay, we're going to put it out there. It's Omegaverse. This universe is set in Omegaverse, apparently.
I'm not sure if you wanted it out there or not.
We're going to put it out there now. It's set in fucking Omegaverse, which is crazy to me. But the original translation is, it's like, in the first episode, it goes, oh, are you an alpha? But then in the clip, it was like, are you gay? And I was like, I don't think that...
Those aren't interchangeable.
No. So I wonder if it was just the person, like, translating who was like, I really don't...
Or they just didn't know what an alpha
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's what it was. Because there's literally no world building. So, like, if you don't know what Omegaverse is, you have no idea what's happening in this show. Like, when they have that conversation, like, they just throw it in there.
Has there been any nodding yet?
No, I don't think. I don't know.
military settings. That's really the only thing that makes anything Omegaverse.
Because they haven't stopped, like, they've probably had sex at least 4 times now.
And you would know.
And it's been 2 episodes. But they cut it out so much because even, like, the uncut version or the NC-17 version, which is, like, the, like, they still censor it so much because, it's, like, different setting. Like, it's very different in, like, Thai shows than it would be in an American show. So, like, they consider NC-17, like, taking off your shirt and making out. And, like, that needs to be, like, cut out. Like, and so you have to... So, I don't know that they would go that far to put that on TV. But the only thing that's, like... is, like, they had that first conversation about it being, like, 2 alphas. And, like, that's what he wants, is he wants, like, another alpha. But he doesn't like the way the alphas smell because his senses are heightened. And that's what makes him such a good racer.
Okay, I was gonna be like, maybe he just means, like, someone that can go head to head. But no, the smell definitely takes it up a notch.
Because because he wants to, like, he will have sex with one person before every race because he needs to, like, get in the zone. But his senses are so heightened, and so he can't, like, he has to find, like, a special alpha who doesn't smell because, and...
Okay, I'm trying to, like, justify, but they're really doubling down.
But it's just, and the only thing is, like, he's an alpha who doesn't have a smell, and he has his senses heightened, and he likes sleeping with other alphas who don't have a smell because he likes to concentrate, and that's what makes him such a good racer, is that his senses are heightened, and I don't understand how.
Alphas don't typically go for other alphas.
No, but in this show they do.
Okay.
I don't understand what's happening because it literally has no benefit to the plot whatsoever. Like, there's literally nothing that if this wasn't in Omegaverse that would change. like not a damn thing would change.
Oh, it's really funny.
It's so ridiculous. And I'm going to keep watching it because I don't get a lot of motorsports, like, shows. And so when I find one, I have to cling on to it because there aren't very many. Like, you'll get, like, they'll have, like, like, really the only ones I've watched were, like, Love in the Air technically has motorsports in it, but motorsports isn't the main focus. Love Syndrome had motorsports in it, but it also is not the main focus. In fact, they're trying to stop the motorsports. Like, he doesn't want him to race anymore because it's dangerous. And so I'm like, okay. And then, a lot of them, like, drive motorcycles and, like, drive their car really fast and whatever. But that's just, like, none of it is, like, true motorsports. And I'm like, I want motorsports. Like, the closest thing but, like, Love in the Air was the closest thing I got. And so to have this come out, I was like, yes, because Love in the Air is one of my favorites. I love it so much. It's so good. Incredible stuff. And then this came out and I was like, yes, finally, here we go again. And it seemed like, it was actually, like, the main focus. Whereas in Love in the Air, it's not the main focus, but it's still very prevalent, which is great. I loved it. But this one, it was like motorsports is the main focus. And I'm like, yes, it's going to be enemies to lovers, motorsports, here we go. And it was just like Omegaverse. And I was like, huh?
They gotcha. Oh, that's really funny. I mean, I have to know, so I need you to keep watching.
Okay. We'll come every week. We'll have a segment where I talk about.
I need to know if it, like, plays in anymore. If yeah.
Give you, like, a brief rundown of the episode I watched that week of the new episode.
Because I am fascinated. Because I was like, okay, well, maybe it's just like 2 alphas, like 2 head dogs. No pun, but, like, head honchos, but the smelling, you really can't justify around that.
Yeah, nope. The heightened senses and then the scenting. I was like, oh my god, they're scenting in episode 1. What the hell?
They really went for it. And apparently dropped it. So maybe it didn't land correctly. And there's gonna be like, we're gonna pretend we never said that and see if anyone remembers.
Because I'm just like, and I don't know if it's just like, if it's everyone in the universe, or if it's just, because it seems like so many people are like alphas, and then like you have like the alphas who don't have a scent apparently, and then like, but the main character is a special alpha because all of his senses are heightened. And I'm like, I don't understand.
I don't know enough about the Omegaverse, so I don't feel like comment.
Okay, I'm going to admit it right here on the podcast. I know quite a bit about the Omegaverse.
I've only read like a handful of things.
I've been on AO3 for a long time.
I too, but I just never cared. All of them are bad. I've only read a few. Like, and the one I just read was pretty bad, but the Omegaverse was very low in the what the fuck is going on in that universe. So we won't even talk about that Omegaverse.
But the people who made this show also don't know what's going on. Like, they just, like, what they're talking, like, none of it makes any sense. And I'm like,
isn't having a sense the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I know that much at least.
And, like, the only people who aren't supposed to have sense are, like, betas, because they don't have, like, they're neither.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm like, so I don't understand any of it.
Fascinating.
But I do love it in the sense that, like, it's opposite dynamics, because you know how so many, like, BLs will play into, like, the typical dynamic of, like, who's supposed to be the top and who's supposed to be the bottom? This one's opposite.
Okay.
And, like, I kind of like that they did, like, break the traditional dynamics that kind of, like, because so many people are like, oh, whoever's the girl in the relationship is the bottom, or whoever's the more feminine one in the relationship is the bottom, which is so stupid. So I do like that this show breaks that, because it's very, but really that's about all. And then it's got fast cars.
Vroom, vroom. Fascinating.
And a really hot guy who owns the, like, garage.
Of course.
And the team. He's delicious.
Even better. Is he in the Omegaverse?
I don't know.
Does he have a scent? Does he not have a scent?
I don't know. I don't know anything. That's what, it's so confusing. It's like, I'm trying so hard to follow along, and I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know. And he's
great.
But it's supposed to be where, like, this guy who owns the garage is supposed to be, like, older, because they all call him Uncle. Okay. It's like Uncle Alan, but he's not that much older. Like, he literally looks like he's in his mid-20s. Like,
of course.
Hold on. We've got to. Good Lord.
Just whipping out the phone.
I am.
This is her history lesson.
Yeah.
Motorsports and Omegaverse.
These are the two main characters.
Okay.
So he's the one that's the, like, big, like, racer that has the heightened senses. And then he's this guy.
His name is Babe?
Yeah, his name is Babe.
Of course.
And his name is Charlie, and he comes in, and he's the one that they're hooking up.
Okay.
Yes, but that is that. And and he's a little cutie pie. He's Babe's best friend.
Okay.
But I broke everything.
It's fun. It's freaking out.
And this is Alan.
Okay. That's good looking.
He's beautiful.
I mean, they're all cute.
He's beautiful. I love him so much.
He's so delicious.
He is. He is delicious. Like,
yeah, he doesn't look old.
No, not even a little bit. Like, it's crazy. Like, but they're like, oh, Uncle Alan, because he's supposed to be, like, so much older. And I'm just like,
Good.
No. And I think I like him a lot because he also works on the car, and I love a mechanic. I love a mechanic. And that's why I liked Boss so much and Love in the Air, because he did race the motorcycles, but his main thing was fixing the motorcycles. And then Fort raced the motorcycles, and I'm like, I love you both so much.
Nice.
I kind of want to rewatch Love in the Air as well. Like I said, it's one of my favorites, and it's so good. And I've stopped myself from rewatching it, but I want to real bad.
Do it. Live your life.
Because there's so many that I need to watch. Like, there's a whole thing on my notes app of, like, Thai dramas I need to watch, and the list is so long.
I just want to rewatch. I get it.
But at least it's like, if I rewatch Love in the Air, it's 13 episodes. Whereas when I rewatch The Untamed, it's 50 episodes every time. And I commit a week and a half to it.
Yeah. Should I do my segment?
I mean, yeah, totally. We can do that, and then we can just keep chit-chatting, because I figured we need to fill the air.
Maybe I can, I can drag it out. Probably not. I only have like 4 pages.
Okay.
If I can even find where it is.
Because I was like, I don't know if you want to talk about like Thanksgiving or like what we did for the past couple weeks.
We can. I didn't do anything for Thanksgiving. Yes, it was Thanksgiving recently. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
We just went out to eat and then I napped because I went out the night before and I went out just to kind of, hang out. And then I ended up having to bartend because we got so busy. And so I didn't get home till like 3 a.m. And then I had to take a shower and do a load of laundry. So I didn't get to bed until like after 4 a.m. And then my mom woke me up at like 8:30 and was like, can you braid my hair for me? And I'm like, okay. So I got like 3 hours of sleep. And then we went out to eat. And then I slept. And then I went to karaoke that night, which was really fun. I had a really, really good time.
Nice.
Yes, so that was Thanksgiving night. So that was, lots of fun. People were singing their hearts out. I was like, good for y'all. I did not get up on stage and sing because I never do.
Not even for Thanksgiving?
Not even for Thanksgiving. And then Friday and yesterday, I just relaxed. I napped again because I needed another nap.
I love a nap.
And I napped again on Saturday. So basically today was the first day I didn't nap. And I was like, because I've been so, just, running on empty from like, going out and like doing stuff and trying to make the most of my little break. And then just ended up napping for the rest of it.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a nap. We're pro nap here. I love a nap. I took a nap yesterday. And the other day before, I'm pretty sure. So, I love a nap. Yeah, we just made a lasagna on Thanksgiving. We didn't cook Thanksgiving food. It was a damn good lasagna.
Yeah, we did. We just went out to eat.
It was really good.
And I got catfish bites because they're so good. I love little catfish bites.
I don't like catfish, but God, it was good. Yeah, it's like the one fish I've never had that I like anywhere.
Do you want to tell people about your birthday?
It was my birthday.
And we had game night, and it was lots of fun.
I did, and I got spoiled a lot by Skylar and Richard both.
You didn't get that spoiled by me.
You got me a lot of shit. It's way too much, actually. But no, yes, it was very nice. Richard took me to the bookstore. It stressed me out. I got some concert tickets. I got a limited edition game pre-order. Not limited edition, a special edition. It's not limited edition. Yeah, it was fun. It was nothing fancy. Went out to a good dinner. And then came back here for a game night.
It was lots of fun. We had a good time.
It was fun. It was fun. I haven't done a game night in a long time, so.
And then we had music video night after.
Yes.
And Brittany drunkenly tried to give me a tarot reading.
Yeah, I immediately when I got the cards, I was like, I don't want to do this.
Because she just kept like, and I was like, what's happening right now? I
was so tired. I was done.
Because you were like, can I give you a tarot reading? And I was like, sure. And then
I was done before I even walked over there. I was like, I don't want to do this.
But it was so funny the way you were like, well, what's your question? I was like, I've already asked my question. And you were like, okay, draw this card. And I was like, okay. And then you were like, draw 6 cards. And I was like, okay. And then you'd look at one card and I'm like, okay.
I was just trying to keep you busy enough so I didn't have to do anything.
I was busy enough just doing the music videos. I was just chilling.
I mean, after I suggest the tarot, I was like, now I just have to distract her like a child. You know how when you just like give a kid like a remote to make them think they're fake playing a game. I think I was doing that in my mind. I was like, I don't actually want to do this. So.
And I don't think, because it wasn't working. I was just like, and the whole time I was like, okay, I didn't think she was that drunk. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then eventually I just kind of like took the cards and put them back in the box. And I was like, okay, we're done now. And then I noticed Richard was asleep on the couch. Because at this point it was like 2:33 in the morning.
It was very late.
Yeah, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna go. It's like, I'm gonna let y'all sleep.
Yes, I was very tired.
But it was so much fun.
It was fun.
I had a great night.
It was fun. Well, I guess before we get off on any more tangents, I will do my one very short segment.
Yes. Let's hear it.
Okay, so I'm going to cover probably my favorite figure from World War II.
Okay.
Unsinkable Sam.
Okay.
Do you know Sam?
No.
Okay. Let me tell you about Unsinkable Sam, who is talked about a lot. I've heard this story many times. I personally choose to believe it because I like it. But there are some discrepancies, and I do talk about those at the end.
Okay.
So just take that as you will. So, in 1939, months before the Reich invaded Poland and kicked off World War II, the Kriegsmarine, German, I don't know. Who cares? It's Nazi. Or the Nazis' navy launched the battleship, the Bismarck. Okay. So by 1941, the ship had reached the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean in an attempt to sabotage the naval envoys carrying supplies between Canada and the UK. So the Bismarck had a crew...
And that took 2 years to get there?
I'm sure they did other stuff, because the boat... They launched the, production of it in 1939.
Oh, okay. I thought,
no.
I was like, it took them two years to get there?
I talk about it in a minute, but the Bismarck was, a big deal for Germany. So that's when they, launched working on it.
Okay, gotcha.
And then by 1941, it, was in production. It got there. It got to the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean. Okay. And it had a crew of about 2,200 people. And it said that among them was Unsinkable Sam, who was a black and white colored cat.
Oh.
Yes. So the thing people like to say is, quote, he was drafted into the German army and he was assigned to pest control aboard the mightiest battleship in the entire fleet, end quote.
Oh.
So, this is Sam.
You know, if Sam is unsinkable, this is what I choose to believe that happened to the cat in Iron Lung.
Oh, yes. I mean, we'll know when the movie comes out, I guess.
Because that upset me. Every game...
If Mark didn't save that cat, I'm going to personally beat him up.
I'm like, in every gameplay I've watched of Iron Lung, I'm like, that cat better, because, the way that
I do wonder if maybe that cat was based on him. Because Unsinkable Sam is in a couple of video game references and pop culture references. I don't list those, but I do wonder now. I wonder if that is an Unsinkable Sam reference. Which would be very cute.
Because I don't want anything bad to happen to that cat. It was so cute.
It was
so cute.
So yes, he was drafted into the German army, pest control. And I will say here, there is another very famous black and white ship cat that is sometimes mistaken as Unsinkable Sam. And this cat is Blackie. And Blackie was aboard the HMS Prince of Wales.
Sure.
So a lot of people see pictures of Blackie and they're like, Sam. No.
Okay.
Different cat.
I didn't even know
tuxedo cat.
HMS Prince of Wales was a boat. So
there's a famous photo I talk about later in relation to Blackie that's a lot in history books. People see that and they're like, oh, is that Sam? No.
Okay.
It's not. So the Bismarck was a formidable vessel, and it was the pride of the German Navy because it was one of the largest battleships that they had ever built. That's why, it took a while to get going. And it boasted impressive firepower, and it was designed for long-range operations. So it was a big deal. They called it unsinkable. How very Titanic of them. We know where that led Titanic.
Yes.
Okay.
Also,
Germans boast.
I've got on a weird kick of boats recently, as well as bridges.
Oh.
And I almost did a history of bridges, and that was there's this one bridge that they rebuilt because it was bombed in the Cold War. I almost talked about that bridge, but then I almost talked about bridges and the history of bridges, and I was like, I don't want Brittany to freak out, so I didn't do that because I know how much you hate bridges.
God, I would have just drank my wine and buried it. I probably would have cussed a lot, but it would have been okay. I already hate them, so I don't think you could make me hate them more. So on May 24th, 1941, during the Battle of the Denmark Strait, the Bismarck clashed with British naval forces and sank their battle cruiser, the HMS Hood. So in response to losing the Hood, the British Royal Navy launched an intense 3-day pursuit of the Bismarck. So on May 27th, 1941, a combination of air and naval attacks led to the fall of the Bismarck, ultimately. The Bismarck was destroyed, and as it sunk, only 114 of the ship's 2,000-plus passengers survived. One of them was Unsinkable Sam.
Hey!
So it said that another British battleship, the HMS Cossack, began attempting to rescue the survivors of the Bismarck in the open sea, and the crew member spotted the cat as it was seeking refuge on a floating plank. They then brought it aboard the Cossack and gave him the name Oskar.
Why'd they change his name?
Well, his name isn't Unsinkable Sam yet.
Oh.
That's just the legend. So he was kind of, like, unknown because it was this German ship. And,
it was just a cat.
And these British, like, they found him and they're like, hey, let's call him Oskar.
And a katza.
So only 5 months later, after rescuing Oskar, the Cossack suffered its own disaster. So it was struck by a German torpedo. Because again, this is World War II. Everything's going on. It was severely damaged, but it did not immediately sink. So the crew, including Oskar, was able to be transferred onto another ship before it did finally succumb to its injuries and sank on October 27th, 1941. So another ship sank.
Do like how it's phrased, like the ship died, like it succumbed to its injuries.
Yeah. Yeah, I did just copy that.
Like, I love how that's phrased.
That's cute.
Talking about it like it's a real person. Like, it succumbed to its injuries. It didn't make it. Time of death.
Well, it was hit by a fucking torpedo. And
yeah, but
it wasn't sinking immediately. But eventually, it was like, I am dead now. So after that, then Oskar found himself aboard the aircraft carrier, the HMS Ark Royale. And this is said to be the same ship that attacked his first station on the Bismarck. So this is what people say sank the first ship that he was on. But I only seen this claim once, but I still figured I would give it a little shout out in case it is true. But none of the other articles I read mentioned that little detail, just one. So I was like, oh, that's cool, if it's true. And so it was while on this third ship that Oskar became known by his nickname, Unsinkable Sam. Because it was like, hey, this is the third ship you're on.
This cat has survived a lot.
What's going on with you, Oskar? Your name is Unsinkable Sam now. So on November 14th, 1941, about a month after the Ark Royal rescued him, the Ark Royal was then also torpedoed. The ship was completely decimated and sunken. But Unsinkable Sam, unharmed.
Are we sure this cat isn't like a familiar and this witch is just doing everything in her power to get her cat back? Because that's kind of what it sounded like.
He was then rescued by the HMS Legion, and that was another ship under the British Royal Navy.
Did that one sink too?
No. This is his third and final sinking. He was found clinging to a floating plank by a motor launch and described as, quote, angry but quite unharmed.
Well, no wonder he's pissed.
He can't stop singing his motherfucking boats he's on. He's like, I was drafted into the German army. I didn't even want to be there, and I'm clinging to planks multiple times.
I'd be pissed too.
And then, according to the Britain's Royal Museums in Greenwich, after his third shipwreck survival, his presence was considered a bad omen and he was retired to land.
That's probably for the best, to be honest.
Where he was placed in the offices of the governor of Gibraltar. So they were like, you're done, little buddy. He's like, thank fuck.
He's like, finally, I can retire. Damn.
He was later then adopted by a seaman who lived in Belfast, and it was there that he died in 1955. Just chilling on land finally in his life.
I do love that he went to, like, a seaman.
Yeah, a seaman's house, a fisherman's house. It just said a seaman. And I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I wasn't like sure if it was like
out on a little boat every now and
like
then.
a captain. So I didn't want to be like, oh, a fisherman or like a captain, like just
No.
Yeah. So, but I do like that he still ended up being
something near the ocean.
Yeah.
Probably got to go look along. You're like, I've seen some shit. Tell all the other little cats in the neighborhood. You know.
And I just imagine this old fisherman Willie type with this cat, and they're both just like looking out at sea, like.
Yeah.
You know that meme of the cat with the jewel?
I don't know if I've seen the jewel cat.
Okay, because that is my most used meme on the internet because it's me. But I just imagine it with a fish. No, continue. Sorry, I just updated my phone yesterday, and I guess I haven't done enough to where it's like still showing me stuff.
Oh, okay.
But like that, like him with a cigar, and then the fisherman also with a cigar, both just sitting on the porch, looking out at the ocean.
I love that. Yes. So.
That's immediately the picture I get in my head.
I love that. So that is the legend of Unsinkable Sam. So now I'll kind of talk about some gaps in the story that might be like, that's weird. So one of the bigger gaps is that there are no records of a cat having been brought on board the Bismarck, at least according to some of the survivors. Mm-hmm. But my thinking of that, is it possible that a cat can go around unseen? Totally, because it's a fucking cat.
Yeah, and especially if there were 2,200 people on that boat, it's guaranteed that some people probably would never have seen that cat.
That, and also if you're a survivor of a ship sinking into the ocean and you're one of the 100 survivors of that, you probably have other things to focus on than if you saw a fucking cat.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the trauma's gonna be, like, not something you focus on too much. And... maybe they just didn't keep records of a cat.
Like the cat wouldn't be considered like a passenger. Like wouldn't be on the.
It was on a lot of those ships back in the day, which I'll talk about that later too. But there is a theory that maybe he was just like snuck on, also, and was like, "Hey, you're a pest cat," kind of thing. So I think that's pretty overlookable. Like I feel like a cat could definitely go about unseen by every single person on a ship.
Yeah,
because cats can be sneaky. They are sneaky when they want to be. The other thing,
the couple times like I've house set for you, I don't see Celeste until I have to hunt her down to give her 8:30 treat. Like, and then I have to search the whole house to find her. Usually she's on your bed, but I don't see her until it's time to give her 8:30. Like I'll go and put dinner in her bowl, and then the dinner's gone. Still haven't seen Celeste.
Sometimes we don't see Celeste until 8:30, so like that's fair. Cats are mysterious creatures. And the other thing is there's like some fighting over Oscar's appearance. Oscar or Sam. I call him both. Alright, so there are two different portraits that are suspected to be of Oskar, and they both show him as a black and white tuxedo cat. So that's kind of the main thinking in everyone's head. So one is a pastel drawing by an unknown artist, and it shows him sitting on a piece of floating wood, kind of like the couple of scenes that he's had happen to him. And it was like created in the time. And then another is a photograph of a tuxedo cat wearing a collar that is clearly inscribed as the HMS Amethyst 1949, which would be a different ship. He was never on that one. And so this is most likely another wartime ship cat named Simon, who was on the Amethyst. But for some reason, people always think this is Oskar or Sam. It's not. Completely different cat.
Have you seen that with the theory that tuxedo cats are just the huskies of cats?
Yes, I have. And you know what? It tracks.
Yeah, Mochi. Where is she?
She's in the chair over there. My chair.
Mochi is kind of like a husky if it was in a cat.
She's very
very chatty,
very talkative, much like a husky. And I've only had a couple of tuxedo cats in my life, and other ones I was way too young to have. But she's a very chatty cat.
She is very, very talkative. Sometimes I feel like we're having full-blown conversations.
I talk to her out loud a lot because she listens to me. So she's very funny though.
That's why I was like, when I said her name, I was like, I didn't want to like.
And she's smart. Like she could be on a naval ship and survive 3 sinkings. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, for sure. She survived out on the streets.
Yeah, like she's tough. There is also a third photo featuring a tabby cat. that has been claimed to be Oskar as well. So that's the other like one that's like, oh, maybe it wasn't a tuxedo cat, maybe it was actually this tabby cat. Which
I thought
also
you were saying
tabby cats, crazy motherfuckers.
Oh,
they
tabby cats are insane.
They could survive some sinkings also. I think either one is pretty plausible.
No, I think you meant it was like Oskar with a tabby cat, as in like
Oh.
they were just like buddies, and I was like, that's awesome.
That would be cute. So a probable explanation for these differences within like Oskar's legend, of like a couple that I've said, is that the cat, kind of like I said, could have been a stowaway instead of an official animal mascot of the Bismarck. Very probable. And that would also like allow for the cat to not have been officially registered on the ship's passenger list, because while that sounds silly, that was actually a big thing back in World War I, World War II, were animals as registered passengers. But people also sneak shit on like even now, like people sneak animals into places they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So it's very likely that someone snuck Oskar onto the Bismarck.
I was considering putting Bo in my suitcase to bring him to Ohio with us. Like, that's...
I mean, if the hotel accepted, it did. It was animal friendly, wasn't it?
Uh-uh.
Oh, I thought I heard his dog barking. Maybe not. I've been to hotels where people have to... I mean, I've taken Gizmo to hotels before. Sometimes.
Yeah, but it's probably easier to hide a
Sometimes
sugar
they do,
glider.
Sometimes they didn't know.
Sometimes it's probably easier to hide a sugar glider than a mini golden doodle
True,
who has separation anxiety.
Yeah, that probably would have been good when we were at the concert.
Yeah, no.
He's sad.
He would have been so sad. He would have been very upset.
So, like I've kind of said, like with a lot of things from history, special things we talk about when they're like kind of silly and lighthearted like this, there's reason to be skeptical, and I kind of talked about that. But also in this case, I think there's good reason to believe in it, and so here are some like justifications for that. So one, bringing cats aboard ships was very much an old-timey sailor trick to keep rats and other pests at bay, and it was highly used throughout all of time that we've been, sea-bound. And wartime animals weren't exactly a novelty at this point in time. So domesticated animals like dogs and cats have showed up in war zones long before World War II, and they were mostly used as a way to keep up morale. Which, if you're going to sneak your pet cat onto a ship, that's probably why, because you're going to fucking war and you're scared. So I don't doubt that someone could have snuck him on. They also even helped in battle. So in World War I, the 102nd Infantry of the U.S. Army had Stubby, who was a cheery Boston Terrier who had been smuggled onto a deploying boat by one of the unit's members. Stubby became the squad's mascot and earned his stripes by warning troops of an impending attack and aiding in rescue efforts using his keen sense of smell. For just one little example. And then also dogs and pigeons were commonly deployed at the front lines and even became frequent comrades in arms on naval ships, just as Oskar the cat could have likely been. So, and then speaking of famous just ship cats, there was a tiger-striped tabby named Mrs. Chippy that accompanied Ernest Shackleton on his Imperial Transatlantic expedition in the early 20th century. There was also Convoy, who was a lovable feline aboard the British Royal Cruiser, the HMS Hermione. And then there was Blackie, who I mentioned a little bit earlier. They were the shipmate aboard the HMS Prince of Wales, which famously carried the British Prime Minister Winston Churchill to a secret meeting with U.S. President FDR. And this is the photo I kind of mentioned. There's a famous photo of Churchill petting Blackie on the ship. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are like, oh, is that Unsinkable Sam? No, that's a totally different ship, and it's Blackie. But it's just another, like this was a thing. Cats were on ships a lot.
But also just... because I seem to remember, and I don't know, this could be a fake, AI photo or, just, an artist, photograph, because I can't find it. But I seen, for some reason, there's a picture in my head of, where soldiers were literally paused the shooting because there was an animal crossing. And I was trying to find that picture, but I didn't. But you can still, look up, and it's
oh, yeah,
them,
animals in wartime,
holding a rhino's ear, helping the rhino across,
yeah, people
with
can
the
kind
cat
of suck,
outside of the trenches,
yeah, a lot of times people do have greater empathy for animals. Now, obviously, not everyone, because that's how you get serial killers and stuff. Mm-hmm. But animals have always been a part of just as long as humans have been alive, there have been animals.
This is a Ukrainian soldier. This Ukrainian soldier probably hadn't smiled like that in so long. And then there's just...
So yeah, like, keeping up morale, like, totally feasible for animals to be there. That's why I personally choose to believe in the legend of Unsinkable Sam. One, because it's baller. Two, it sounds exactly like something a cat could fucking do, because cats are resilient and smart. And I've heard this story. It's been printed in news articles many times. There's people, like, tailors tell tales of it. And sure, it could just be, like, a fun story to keep up morale and keep up hope, but who's to say it wasn't real?
Yeah, and even if it wasn't real, like, why not choose to believe it? Like, why not look back
it's fucking World War II, have something, like...
Yeah, like, why not look back and think, like, oh, that would be really awesome if it was true, and then just believe in it. Like, why force yourself into this, like, cynicism of... That's getting a little too think PC for probably this, so...
But no, I think you're on, like, the right track. Like, why not? Like, oh, don't be miserable.
Yeah, like...
No, I first heard of Unsinkable Sam, I think when I was in middle school or high school, and it was just... I've always been a cat girl, so I honestly immediately loved it. But I didn't think about it again until recently, and I actually saw a TikTok recently of someone who was like, hey, you know this, like... Because I think there's a character called Unsinkable Sam in the video game Divinity, which has been talked about a lot, and I'm on that now because of Baldur's Gate 3. So, similar games. I think Larian also made Divinity. I'm not entirely sure. But they do have a character called Unsinkable Sam, which is based on this legend of Unsinkable Sam. And someone on their TikTok was like, did you know it's based on this cat? I was like, I remember that cat. That's what I'm going to talk about on the podcast someday for history. And here we are. So I was like, I didn't want to really do anything today. And I was going back through, because sometimes I do save stuff on TikTok to talk about. And as I came across that, I was like, oh shit, that'll be a quick one, an easy one, and a cute one. So
that's how I found out about the Radium Girls, was on TikTok.
Yeah, so I love the story of Unsinkable Sam, personally. Like I said, my favorite figure in World War II.
The main cat TikTok I get, and this is my Roman Empire, because I think about this TikTok at least once a day.
Is this Sam?
I don't know, actually.
Okay.
But I think about it every single day. It's like that hurricane, and then the cat goes by, and then everyone's like, El Gato! And then, like, the video ends. Like, it's just a cat just, like, chilling in this, like... Okay,
I don't know if I know what that
El
is.
Gato! Oh, no. I literally think about it every single day. Like, it's just...
I choose to believe that cat is totally fine.
I do too, because I feel like it probably... Because, one, the main thing...
9 lives. Cats always land on their feet. It's fine.
And especially because cats, it's actually safer for them to fall from a higher distance because they have time to orient themselves and brace themselves. So the fact that it's so high in the air, like, I fully choose to believe, like, that cat is fine.
Okay.
But just the way they shouted El Gato... Like, it's literally in my head all of the time. Just, El Gato!
Cats, man. They're wild. I love cats. They're weird little creatures. But yeah, that was my segment. Unsinkable Sam. So you've never heard of that?
Mm.
Nice.
No, history class made me want to pull my hair out, and also I'm pretty sure we never learned about that in history.
Oh, I don't think I learned about it in history.
Oh.
I think I just learned in that time. I don't know why, because I hated history when I was in school. I think it's, like, cool now, because I can, like, look at stuff I like and want to learn about.
And, like, I always had fun in history when it was told, like, a story. Like, when you learned about, like, when we talked about Vlad the Impaler, like, oh my god, the shit he did was awful. But the way the teacher told it, it was like a story. But then when it got into, like, here's a PowerPoint on, like, things you need to know about this.
This is the pastel drawing from the unknown artist.
Oh,
said to, like, and like, it's very old-timey. So it'd be a really random thing for anyone to paint during wartime if maybe this didn't happen. Personally, I think I'm not going to be drawing cats.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I probably would, but I just think it's a very specific painting. So I don't know. I choose to believe it.
But yeah, so that is, and then, but just, like, I was always bad, because it was just, like, when it was like, here, tell me how this thing that happened 80 years ago affected this thing that happened you know, in this time, and or 80 years after, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
You need to give me a fun little story, like.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know any of these warships, but now I could probably tell you because there's a cat attached to them, you know?
Yeah.
Like, put that on quizzes, then.
Or just like, here's what happened with taxes in the 1800s. I'm like, do you expect me? Like, are you honestly going to sit there and tell me this and give me a PowerPoint on, like, here's how taxes affected the world in the 1800s and expect me to remember and retain that shit? Like, I've got other shit going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then we got to AP US history, and my teacher was Miss Adkins, and I loved her. Mm-hmm. Like, she was incredible, and she was also my psychology teacher. So I had her twice my junior year for AP European history. What? AP US history, APUSH, and psychology. And then I had her again my senior year. And then she was also my AP psychology teacher my senior year. And then I had another teacher who was my pre-AP literature teacher, my AP literature teacher, and my creative writing teacher. So I had her once sophomore year and twice junior year. And they were like my favorite teachers ever. Loved them so much. They were incredible.
Yeah. I've only ever really loved my art teacher, who I had sophomore, junior, and senior year, because she started teaching my sophomore year. And then in senior year, I took 4 AP classes with her, so she was pretty much the only person I hung out with sophomore year. So I took 4 AP art classes. So I obviously loved art. And then my algebra teacher, funnily enough, like, I've always been good at math. I don't like math, but I guess when I was a freshman, I just took normal algebra, and I should have been in a higher algebra, but I didn't want to be. And she would always get so mad at me. She's like, Brittany, why are you in this fucking class? I was like, just leave me alone. And I was like, then I wouldn't have you. And she's like, don't kiss my ass. And I was like, please, love me. See, I'm so smart.
I loved one of my math teachers. He was incredible. He was my honors algebra 2 teacher, and he was excellent. He was younger, and he just made math so you could tell he also loved math. So he was just this younger guy. I say younger, he was like probably 30, 35, but you could just tell he fucking loved math. Like, that was his shit. And so he made class so much fun. And I loved algebra. Now, my geometry and AP stats teacher, I didn't like her at all. We did not get along. She didn't like me. I didn't like her. But I took the classes. I did okay in them. I wasn't very good at geometry. Geometry was the first C I'd ever gotten. I'd never gotten below an A until I took geometry, and then I got a C. And I was like, I'm stupid now. I'd
never gotten below an A in high school, definitely in college. In high school until chemistry. I hated chemistry. And I got a B-, but I fucking hated chemistry. Geometry I was good at, but I also had a bitch of a teacher. I don't know what it is about geometry teachers. She's so tough, but I got an A. It was fine, because I'm good at math. I haven't done math in a long time.
Well, I figured I'm very good at linear math. I'm not good at geometry. I'm good at algebra. I'm good at calculus, but I'm not good at geometry and trigonometry.
I never took calculus.
Oh, I took pre-AP calculus and AP calculus, and I had the same teacher for both.
Geometry. That's about it.
I loved my pre-AP calc and AP calc teacher. It was the same person. Loved her. She did not like me, but I loved her because she looked exactly like my grandma. And my granny died when I was 8, but this lady looked exactly like my grandma. Same hair, same skin tone, looked exactly like my grandma.
I didn't think she didn't like you.
Oh, she just hated me. She did not like me at all.
Grandmas don't hate their grandchildren.
Well, she wasn't my grandma. She just looked like my grandma. She
should have known.
But that's why I liked her so much, was because she did look like my grandma. But she's... I don't think she liked me because me and Landon always sat next to each other, and Landon was my best friend. And so me and Landon would be during class, we'd okay, did you understand what she just said? No, cool, me either. Trying to work together in class. And I don't think she liked that.
But how were your grades?
Oh, I did excellent.
But I'm sure she liked you. She might have just been, like, tough on you because she liked you, if she was tough on you, if that's why you thought she didn't like you.
Well, I just don't think she liked anyone.
Well, okay, that could also be an issue. She might just not need to be a teacher.
Yeah,
Some people are teachers, and I think they genuinely hate kids, and I'm like, why are you
I think that's how she was. Like, she just
Okay.
hated kids. And, like, you know, I've, like, my pre-AP Lit teacher and my AP Lit and creative writing teacher were all the same person. When I took pre-AP Lit, I was convinced she hated me. I thought she didn't like me. I thought she wanted nothing to do with me. But then I took creative writing and AP Lit. She fucking loved me. Like, I was one of her favorite students. Like, and she told me this. She was like, I love you. Like, I loved having you in class. You were excellent. But just, I thought she hated me. But she didn't. Now, this teacher, I think she just hated everyone.
Okay. Well, then that's fair. You keep saying pre-AP. You had pre-AP classes?
Yes.
That was not a thing at my school.
So we had like a set structure. So like freshman year, the only class you were allowed to take that was AP as a freshman was AP Human Geography. You could not take any other AP classes as a freshman.
AP what geography?
Human Geography.
What is human geography?
I don't fucking know.
Okay, I was like, I thought I was mishearing you, but you did say human. Is that like biology? What is that?
No, AP Human Geography is like, I remember like,
as opposed to animal geography.
Like, it was like population and like, you know, density, and like we learned about like gentrification, like when like areas would get gentrified, like it was just.
I don't think that was a thing that existed at our
It was
school.
like the most weird class ever.
Yeah, ew. But I don't like geography anymore.
Which I got a 1 on the AP exam. Me, Reagan, and Landon all got a 1 on
so
the...
you were in this class?
Yes. And we all got a 1 on the AP because I took every...
But you don't know what it was, really.
No.
Right.
I did good at it, but I don't fucking know what I fucking learned. But we all got a 1 on the AP exam. And it came back the next year that they had misgraded the 3 of our tests, and then they never fixed it. So we knew for a fact that they misgraded our test, and we all should have gotten a 4, which would have been a passing grade, so we wouldn't have had to take that credit in college, which I don't even think that credit existed in college, so it's not...
I've never heard of that.
But they never fixed they admitted that they graded it wrong and we should have gotten a 4, but then they never fixed it, and I was like, you're fucking joking.
I was like, you've never gotten over that, have you?
No, I fucking haven't. I really haven't. It pisses me off to this day. Like, I'm so mad. But then as a sophomore, you were allowed to take like a couple of like AP electives, and you could take AP World History, and you could take AP Biology because you took biology freshman year, so you were allowed to take AP Biology. But pre-AP was like you had to have pre-AP before you could take AP. So I took pre-AP literature, which went because. The way this classroom was set up was we were in my favorite teacher's classroom. We were in my creative writing pre-AP Lit, AP Lit teacher. It was her classroom. And then the AP World History teacher came down and would teach AP World History. Then we'd have like a break, and then we'd still be in the same classroom and take pre-AP Lit, which was literature based off like from not the United States. Like, so that's when we read like, you know, Beowulf and other like, you know, English or German, like, we read, oh God, what is it called now? All Quiet on the Western Front, I believe, or either that was, it was, by Elie Wiesel. He was a Holocaust survivor and he wrote a book, and like we read that in pre-AP Lit. So it went with the pre-AP or the AP World History that we were learning. We would have our pre-AP literature class, like we would read literature from that time period of what we were learning in AP World History. And then the next year we took AP US History as well as AP Literature. And that would be where we would stay in the same classroom, and then a push teacher would come down. And so, like, that's when we read A Farewell to Arms. That's when we read Lord of the Flies, like all of that. And it would go with the time period, like so the classes will like match up. But, and then like you took AP Lang your senior year, then you took pre-AP calculus, but you couldn't take AP calculus unless you took pre-AP calculus. So my junior year, I took pre-AP calculus, and then I took AP calculus my senior year.
Yeah, see, ours was just, we never had any pre-AP anything. It was just, you could only take AP stuff your senior year, and everything else was just a number. So...
See, and we had, like, honors classes, and we had honors, like, 1 and honors 2. So, like, for algebra, I took honors algebra 2 instead of honors algebra 1. They didn't have an AP algebra class, but honors algebra 2 was the highest algebra class you could take. That's what I took. And then...
Yeah, all of us was just numbered. So, it was, you were either in algebra 1, algebra 2, or AP algebra. So, like, that's just the scale it was.
No, yeah, you had, like, algebra 1, algebra 2, honors algebra 1, honors algebra 2, like, and then you'd have, like, chemistry 103 versus chemistry 105, like, and then you'd have, like, different, like, physics classes that were on different levels, and I always took the highest level possible. So I took, I think, 16 AP classes in high school, and I did really well in all of them, but I basically, and looking back now, I regret it so much because I could only afford to take one AP exam a year, and with AP classes, you only get the college credit if you pass the AP exam. So I'm taking 5 AP classes in 1 year and only getting credit for one of them because I can only afford to pay for the test once. So I couldn't pay for all the tests. So then I'm just taking these AP classes for no reason, whereas I should have taken dual credit because then I would have gotten a college credit without having to pay $99 to take a test. But nonetheless.
Yeah, in my senior year, I could only take AP classes. So I only took AP Lit, AP French, AP Art, AP Drawing and Painting, AP Metalsmith, and one other art one that I'm totally blanking on, and that was it. So, literature and art, and French.
Yeah, I took, like, the AP Human Geography, I took AP Literature, AP World History, AP US History, AP Psychology, AP Music Theory, AP, oh God, what else was there? There's so many. AP Stats, AP Calculus, like lots of just every AP class I could take, unless it was math, unless it was science, because like I said, I didn't take AP European History because I didn't want to be in that classroom. And I didn't take like AP Chemistry or AP Biology. And my biology teacher from my freshman year, like, tracked me down in the hallways and was like, "Why aren't you in my AP Biology class?" And I was like, "I don't know if you remember, but do you remember that one time I got a 0 on a test?" And she was like, "Yeah, but you passed my class with flying colors." I was like, "I got a 0 on a test. I'm not taking the AP version of this class. Like, it's not happening." She's like, "But you got a 100 on the next test." And I was like, "I got a 0 on a test. I'm not taking the AP version of this class."
That's fair. Yeah, I picked the fun AP classes because I was also working 6 days a week since sophomore year. So
oh yeah,
I also had a job. I didn't have time to fucking study.
I never worked during high school because my parents were like, "Your grades are your job," and I was like, "Okay."
I babysat in sophomore, and then junior and senior year, I worked at a fast food restaurant 6 days a week, and on weekends I had to open, and on weeknights I had to close, and I also lived 30 or 45 minutes from town, so it was, I'd wake up at 5 a.m. to get to school. I would drive to school, and then from school, I'd have to either kill time or go straight to work, and then I'd get off work at 10 p.m. and drive home and do homework. So I wasn't taking more AP classes than I had to.
Yeah,
Fuck that.
Mine was like, I would have to wake up at 5 a.m. because we lived about 30 minutes from school, and then I would have to wake up before everyone else so I could get myself ready, wake up, get my brother ready, get my sister ready, and then wake up my mom so she could get ready when it was time for us to go to school. And then we would go to school, and then we'd have to go to her school. And then we'd have to wait there until she got done, and then we'd have to come back to the house, and then I'd have to do the dishes, do laundry, help my brother and sister with their homework, give my sister usually a bath or a shower because she was so young, so I would have to do that, help my mom grade papers, help my mom enter those papers into the grade book, and then also do my own homework and make dinner. I usually got dinner for everyone as well.
At that point, I'd be like, just give me a fucking job.
Yeah.
At least you get your own money.
That's true. Yeah, I never made any money for all, because I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't have a job. Like, but I really did have a job. Like, I was basically grading papers and, like, taking care of my siblings for free.
I had a job, and I had to take my own car payments, but I still had some money for myself.
And I remember staying up till 3 a.m. one morning working on physics homework because I had to do everything else before I could start on homework. And I was up till 3 a.m. trying to finish my physics homework.
No. Yeah, I used to be able to pull some crazy all-nighters in high school and college.
Oh my gosh,
I can't really
same.
do it anymore. Like, I feel like I would be a zombie. I don't know how I fucking did it.
I remember that too. I remember just being able to stay awake. Like, if I needed to, I could stay awake all night to get stuff done.
There were some times in college, I remember being awake for 3 days straight.
Yeah.
And I was fine. And I was like, I could never do that now.
I'm like, now, if I'm just like, and there'll be some nights I'm like, okay, I know I need to wake up early the next day, so I'll just try and, like, stay up so that way I don't risk oversleeping. There's a certain threshold, like, I just immediately fall asleep. Like, I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, no, like, because I think I've mentioned it before. Like, I went to a year-round college. So I got a bachelor's degree in 3 years. So, like, our schedules were tight. And it was also an art school. So it was not so much study and test-based. It was fucking project-based. Mm-hmm. So we had to, like, push out full-on, like, projects and, like, building shit. And I don't know how I did it. Because and I also worked. Because I was also working during this time, too. I don't know how I did it. I could not do that shit anymore. Because there was, during finals, I was awake for 3 fucking days straight, and I was just, I remember it, and I would do my projects, I would do my finals, and then I'd come home, or I have to go to work, and then I have to come home, and it's like, well, I might as well just stay awake, because I have to be up for this final at 5 a.m., and so I'm just gonna bake brownies at 3 a.m. Like, I don't know where my head was at, but I was fine, and like, I passed everything, and I'm just like, I would die.
Yeah.
If I tried to do that now. I would literally die.
I remember there was one time in college I had to write a speech, and I was also studying for anatomy and then having to write the speech and memorize the speech, and it was the day before the speech was due. I wrote the speech and stayed up all night memorizing the speech and gave it the next day like nothing had happened, and like excellently presented this speech to my. And keep in mind, I was in the honors college I was taking honors college courses, and I was taking honors English in college, and I had to do a speech, and I was like, here's my speech, and they 100 after pulling an all-nighter with a speech that I wrote and memorized the night before. If I try to do that now, good Lord, I can't even talk on the podcast properly if I don't have
all we do is speak.
I'm like, what the hell?
No, yeah, that was also the funny thing about an art school college is, like, English, math, like, all of those, like, the base classes, I did not worry. I didn't even study for that shit. I was like, this is fine. But when it came to, like, projects, like, color theory, when it came to, you know, graphic design, when it came to my photography classes, that's when the shit was tough, and that's what I cared about. And then we got the reputation at the school of being the dicks because we were photography students. But it was, so when photography teachers would come in for there were a few times when we would have to, like, co-work with graphic design students or animation students or culinary students, and they would bring in, like, teachers from different departments to, like, grade group work or grade other people's projects that people weren't so used to their specific degree professors. People were terrified of the photography professors, and we were just like, yeah, this is normal. This is what we fucking live with. They walk in and they will rip up your printed photos that you paid $20 for at, you know, Michael's or Hobby Lobby. And they'll be like, this is shit. And you're like, you're right. And they'd come in to the other students and they're like, well, this is shit. And they would cry. And we're like, you gotta get used to that, my man. Like, We don't hold punches. So we got the reputation of being dicks, but it's just because that's what we were told to be. We were pretty rough with our critiques.
Yeah.
That's why English and math and history, like, I don't think I took a history class in college, actually. That was a lie.
I actually didn't take a history class. I was supposed to, but I never made it past year one. Well, actually, no, I don't think I was supposed to. No, my second, no.
I don't think I needed a history credit.
My third semester, I was supposed to take, just like a civil, like, what was it? It's called, like, civil something. It was just like civilities, like some sort of like civil history class, like just a very basic gen ed, and it was the only one I was supposed to have.
Take that also.
But I just I never made it to my third semester because I dropped out after 1 year. And it sucked because I always did so well in school, and I did good in college as well. I just picked the wrong major, and I picked to be a nursing major. 1, I'm squeamish. 2, I was never good at science. So, like, we had to dissect a rabbit, and I threw up everywhere. And I just, like, was...
Yeah, I couldn't do that either.
Like, literally had to leave the classroom so I could throw up. And then, like, my TA came to check on me, and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, no, I'm not. Like...
Thank you for asking. No.
So I had to audit that, and then I had to audit chemistry because it was just, like... And I didn't fail out of college, but I didn't keep the well enough grades to keep my scholarship, so then I had to drop out, and it kind of sucked because now I'm like, I know what I want to do, and if I had the money, that's what I would go back to college to do, and I know that I would be successful at it if I could just do it, but
do it.
Money's tough to come by, homie.
I mean, I know, but that's where we get those fucking student loans. As long as you're in school, you don't have to pay them. Just stay in school forever would be my advice. And you love learning, so maybe you could.
I probably could, actually.
Just always be getting a degree, and you're fine. Until they finally rule out student loans. One day, maybe. Yeah.
Well, y'all boost our podcast so we can get money from this so I can go back to school.
Skylar can go to school. Send this girl to school. Well, we went over an hour now.
We did it. This is why we're so good at just chatting, because we could literally talk about nothing for hours on end.
Oh, yeah. Like, I could keep ranting, but we could probably call it also.
Yeah, that's also true. Sorry for letting y'all down this week. I know y'all look forward to my college lessons on education, but...
I mean, you're more thoughtful than I am, so... Oh, I guess this is also a PSA for everyone. You said you just updated your iPhone.
I did, yesterday.
You should go to your settings and turn off a feature that is on it.
Okay.
Go to, so settings and then general.
General?
And then AirDrop. Turn off bringing devices together.
Oh.
Because anyone can put their iPhone on your iPhone and get your information.
Ew.
Yeah. So, PSA, everyone. That's a new one with the update. Please turn that off, because people can get your contact information just by, like, touching your iPhone.
Why was that default on, though?
Because of the update. iPhone. Apple.
And they couldn't have made that to where the default is off, to where you have to go and turn that on?
Apple's icky. I mean, as much as I like the iPhone, Apple's an icky company, and I've had to turn off a lot of shit that they make ingrained.
That's so gross.
Yeah, so, especially if you have, like, kids, or, like, I don't know, like, make sure you turn that off on their phone. That's really scary. And gross.
Yeah, I didn't know
learned
about
that
that
today, and I had to turn it off on mine because it was on by default because of the update. And it's like, oh, that's really gross. Thank you so much.
I'm like, because I work at a bar. Do you know how easy it would be for
that's
just like
why I wanted to make sure you turn it off. Yeah. So, yay, technology.
Well, shall we spin?
Yes. All right. What are we doing?
So we're doing mystical.
Yes, which has been a minute.
And I can redeem myself because last time we did Mystical, I didn't do anything. And then this week, I also didn't do anything. So maybe next week I can redeem myself.
It has been a minute because we haven't done Mystical since January.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's when I did Baba Yaga.
Yeah, and then I didn't have a segment. And then now, today, I also didn't have a segment. So I'm going to try and redeem myself next week. But it will be a Brittany episode because we're doing Mystical. And we're going to drink red wine.
Okay. We're getting a lot of Brittany drinks.
Yeah.
I guess we got white wine this week.
Yes.
Which we didn't even talk about.
Oh, yeah. Well, because we started drinking before because...
my computer was updating before we could... So we were just sitting here chatting.
Chit-chatting and drinking. But we did... spin white wine, and so we drink white wine. I drink Woodbridge's Pinot Grigio, and then Brittany had Bodabox Pinot Grigio.
Yes. So now I guess next week we'll do Mystical and red wine.
Ooh, fancy.
Yay.
Fancy schmancy.
So yeah, that'll be fun, and we'll see if Skylar comes with a segment. We'll be waiting with bated breath.
Listen. It's been a week, okay?
It's fair. I mean, it has.
And I really did try. I came up with a couple ideas and just nothing came through. And, it's fine.
It do be like that.
It really do be like that sometimes. But yes, so if you would like to find us as a collective, you can find us at Sip and Spin Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and especially our YouTube channel. And if you would like to find Brittany, you can find her at Whimsy Dream or Whimsy Dreams, depending on what was available. And if you would like to find me, you can find me at Gleam YKS on everything. But as always, the 3 link trees for myself, Brittany, and the show will be down in our description box below.
Yes, and we thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll sip with you next week.
Okay, see? You didn't do it last time.
Are you happy now? I know, but you did it.
Because it was weird that you didn't do it, and I still hate myself for saying it out loud.
It was amazing that you did it. And so now I know how to get you to say it.
Bye.
Bye.